Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming on the Stubbs Gaming YouTube channel. How are you all? I can see a few people in the chat. Welcome UK Dazarus. Nice to see you back at work, mate, and doing well. I've seen your video. It's good to see. Hello, Marion the Mad. Hello, Warwick Gaming. Hello, you, Indie Gamer, Infinite, Stinking Corpse, Fun Speculation.
Don't forget Mr. Tushy.
That's it. I'm Mr. Tushy. Right, let's start with the guests first. Welcome, God's Geeks. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. I wore my fancy Sunday shirt for you.
Oh, very nice. Welcome, Matt Barnes. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good there, Stubbsy.
Good to hear.
No complaints, no complaints.
Cool. Welcome, Swelshi Gaming. Welcome, She's Now Elite. Welcome, Removable. Has your headset stopped making a helicopter noise?
I'm hoping it has. If it does, please tell me and I'll try and, blow into it a little bit.
well, we'll hold that comment for the minute. We might talk about that later. Welcome, VJ. How are you?
Oh, hi there, Stubbsy. How you doing?
All right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for asking.
That's good to hear. And welcome, Mr. Tushy.
Hello, welcome. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, to be fair, you're actually a co-host, just like VJ, and just like Removable Sanity is.
I'm just very grateful.
I was just here for the fun.
The helicopter's back again.
Oh, good. So, which topic? You know how this podcast rolls. Which topic would you like to start off with? Which one would you like?
Who are you asking?
You, if you want. That's how we roll this way.
Hang on, I'm just getting the topics up now.
What do you reckon we should start with?
I think we should start
Surely it was outdoor cooking.
Maybe that PS5 breakdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with that. Who wants to go first? It won't be me.
Go on, VJ.
Oh, what's the topic?
Helicopters.
PS5 breakdown, VJ.
Oh, the show that we had, the teardown, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to go first? Okay, I'll try, yeah. I was
Did you watch it?
No? Right? It's going to be one of those shows, is it? Okay. I was chatting to Mr. Tushy about this earlier, just to sort of get a handle on what's going on. And I know Japan's like the home territory of Sony, and they sort of have to sort of deliver a hands-on PR demo and teardown as they inevitably do if memory serves me right. They historically do so anyway. So I think the pertinent item of interest that has not yet been showcased is the PlayStation 5 UI. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it before. I've seen nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to clarify. I don't know everything, so just like if I ask the question, just help me out if you can. But both the Japanese first hands-on showcase and the teardown videos were not particularly engaging or entertaining events for me personally. Right, I can't really speak for everybody. The former video was far from appetizing, I think, for Western audiences. I think that's pretty clear, right, from what I've seen on Twitter and social media. The hands-on video, to be honest with you, was pretty much tailored and I think nuanced for Japanese gamers, and sort of leaned more towards their customs, traditions, manners, etiquette, social humor, taste, and all that sort of stuff, and sensibilities. I can let that go. But how about something tailored towards the Western audience is, I guess, the question, the right question to ask, rather than just sort of slamming it into the ground, right? You've got to try to look at these things a bit more holistically, rather than reactively speaking. But at least the teardown, which thanks Mr. Sushi for sending that over to me today, I think was reasonably fascinating, albeit I think Sony took a pretty clinical approach to the PS5 teardown. It really reminded me of do you remember the Road to PlayStation video, which was like intended for game developer gamer-centric sort of type of audience, but obviously due to the pandemic, it was then just broadcasted, and everyone just assumed it was, going to tear down the PS5 back then, right? Which obviously it didn't. But in both instances, there was no sort of expensive, flamboyant, or you can say like cutting-edge presentation videos with sort of high-quality production videos that in tow that we kind of come to expect from Sony. But okay, but maybe that's from my part, expecting a bit too much, because we do get a little bit spoiled by how they go about these things. However, what I was further sort of removed me from sort of like really finding it engaging was the fact that it wasn't even presented in terms of like a lived-in corporate head office, right? That kind of ambience akin to the Xbox Series X teardown, which was like sort of presented, but with someone from the community who'd been respected, right? Like, and it was almost like, even though we know Richard, he's like part of the community sort of thing. He's not part of the platform holder, but it was good to have him there, right? And we could kind of emotively feel through him while he was having his like fan-like hands-on experience, right? Trying to put this puzzle together. I think the PS5 system just hasn't been designed to be friendly or predisposed in this particular area of presentation. I think that's pretty fair to say if you're looking to look at it analytically. Sony, I think, have made the best of a bad situation, in my opinion. They just wanted to get it in and out of the door as quickly as possibly. Certainly, you can say that PlayStation 5 has not sort of showcased or celebrated, especially the PlayStation 5 being a flagship product in the way that you would want a flagship product, or you expect a flagship product to be showcased. However, I've got some sort of blue sky thinking thoughts which I ran through with Mr. Tucci. So if anyone wants to blame him. Thoughts on what might happen Sony, because they're not imbeciles at the end of the day. I tweeted back in June that those side panels, when we first saw them, I think it was after the reveal of the system, that surely they've got to be interchangeable. I think Xbox Pope's definitely going to have a field day. I mean, I can't wait. This is just from me, again, my personal opinion. I can't wait to customize my PS5, with Spider-Man plates or God of War plates, or have Ratchet and Clank on one side or Horizon Zero Dawn on the other, right? And they just seem to be hopefully that they are as interchangeable and as unique and as custom. And you can customize them as well as you do ringtones on your phone or phone covers themselves. You don't need to be sort of, hopefully coming into this gen, you don't need to be forced into buying a special edition console, right, for another $400 or $500, right, just because you want to celebrate your favorite game. We can all actually participate in celebrating certain new games with faceplate purchases. Instagram and I think in social media for Sony, it will be good in terms of it will set those formats or those social media platforms, I should say, alight, and littered with sort of these covers and how people want to display them. For Sony, it's a really smart PR move, if indeed that's their line, that's their thing. The way that they're thinking, I don't know. I would hope that they are. The intangible yet intrinsic value of this option, I don't think it should be undervalued or understated. More interestingly, though, if you look at Xbox, they've pretty much defrocked the Series X completely, right, to show off a really nice body of work. It's sort of totally unwrapped. The whole thing pretty much is being bared, right, in terms of being prior to launch. Sony, I remember they specifically mentioned two key features to shareholders. One was the speedy SSD, right, which again, I don't know if we've seen it. I haven't seen it, other than that one that was demonstrated via a leaked video where someone had filmed the Spider-Man sort of PS4, PS5 comparison load time videos, right, and then leaked it if it was a leak. And the other one is yet to be showcased, and which they've talked to shareholders about, is the completely overhauled user interface. So I think that people can say, why haven't we seen it? But I think for Sony, rather than making a video demonstrating the UI and obtaining maybe a couple of million or a few million views, and then the onslaught of social media comments that we've all got accustomed to, I think I'm wondering if the UI is as far as to me, it just seems to be right now. It seems to be a very guarded secret from my perspective, and I don't know why. I mean, how important or advanced can it really be? Again, I don't know. I think Sony wants to provide gamers if it is that good, I think Sony want to provide users it's like a kind of a gift on launch, like take the PS5, unwrap it, and experience the UI for yourself. And if it blows people away, again, social media will be ablaze with screenshots and videos. It will generate. My point is, it will generate a far larger organic buzz than Sony could ever spend money on or create by themselves, right? And I would much rather myself unwrap a surprise like that and have an experience. And if I'm subsequently moved or inclined to do so, I would upload, take screenshots of videos on my phone and post them, right? I never really got sort of too familiar with the share button on the PS4. But again, I'm not familiar with this as much as you guys. But what if you can seamlessly, like via the create button, right? And if you can add like your voice as well to the reaction, right, and post videos straight from the PS4 in terms of reaction to the new UI system, I think it would be pretty great. I mean, this is all just blue sky thinking, and that's what I think, and I think Sony may be planning. I don't know, but other than that, they need to have something, right, because they really do need a strong PR push. I just see so much negativity online, and I think that this would definitely help the narrative of the PS5 going forward.
I think Stubbs has gone to sleep, I think.
No, I'm here. No, very, very interesting take that is, VJ. But I wanted to ask you a question. In regards to the Japanese and the way the PS5 hands-on and the way the YouTubers were, they seem to be a bit over the top. Is that part of Japanese culture? Is that what Japanese TV is like? Is it?
If I spent a lot of time in Japan, and when you turn on the TV shows, and just the way that they are, if you go around Akihabara, or if you go to Osaka, if you go to Tokyo, if you go to Shinjuku, it's very, very much like that, very much over the top, and very playful. It's just the way that they are. I not everybody, but it's just a segment, and some people, like it. The youngsters like it, and so on and so forth. There's an age demographic for it, for sure. Okay. I can't say it's for toddlers and for people of my age, right, or removable sanity's age. But it's for a specific demographic. Yes, it's true. And I think you can find. If you type into Google Japanese TV shows, you can definitely see the flavor coming through there in terms of how this video came across.
Oh, what was that? What was that program called? Is it like Takeshi's Castle or something?
Not Takeshi's. Old school.
I don't know that one, but there are many others. I think you may be able to find on YouTube or Dailymotion. Yeah.
Yeah, it explains a lot from the Japanese YouTubers. Then really. It does, to be honest. I was a bit taken aback because they're not being nasty. This is a global launch, not a Japanese launch. And I think you should have targeted it at your main, basically where you dominate. They dominate in Europe, UK, and they do very well in America. They're not so dominant in Japan. I just think they should have done they shouldn't have done a Japan style. They should have done it more in like an American launch or European one. I thought it would have went down more because although they are a Japanese and highly successful company, the main followers and the main buyers, they're not in Japan. I think, did you say they've sold 9 million PS4s?
Yeah, it's probably about 8 or 9% of their total global. I mean, the US is only 30%, right, of Sony's total install base, which is surprising. I thought US would be a lot more, but I think that, and as I said, my take was that, how about something for the US audience, and a question mark. That was a question actually to everybody rather than just me sort of like pointing that out. But I think maybe they have something different planned for us. I really don't know. I think Sony are being smart in terms of being quiet at the moment. I think they need to weather the storm of whatever.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I'll just chat with some more people. I've had some more people come in. Welcome, Lily Cove. I've never seen you before, but thank you for stopping by. Much appreciated. Crazy Greek Dude, welcome. That's it. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Welcome, War Stew. Who? Crazy Greek? Not God's Geeks. Would you like to go next?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Would you like to go next, God's Geeks?
Yeah, sure. About the PS5 teardown, I think I know people, if watching this, might think I'm a little biased towards Xbox, and I am. I love some Xbox, but I actually was a little relieved at what I saw today in the teardown with the PS5 because, I mean, obviously we saw where the SSD slot where you could add storage. It seems pretty easy to get to. You just pop those faceplates off. It's like right there in a groove. I think most people should be able to do that. And also the main thing I think that I really liked about the PS5 teardown was that they actually showed a ton of heat control elements in there, whether it's the heat sinks or the fans, because that was my main worry with the PS5 was overheating. We were hearing those little rumors, you can barely believe what you see on Twitter anymore, but it was still a little bit of a worry that I had about this thing overheating because of that design. And seeing the massive heat sink that's inside that thing with the fans and everything, I think obviously Sony was like, yeah, this might be a problem, so we should probably tackle that. And I think they've done a good job of that. So it kind of settled some fears for me about the PS5. I mean, I'm picking up the digital edition alongside my Series X, and I want it to work. So contrary to what people believe on Twitter right now. But yeah, I liked what I saw. I mean, it was, I don't even think they had, did they have English subtitles on that video? Did you guys?
They did, yeah.
They did. I watched it about half an hour ago, and you could actually turn them on. You could. Yeah,
I started it in like 2 seconds, and I didn't see any or I guess automatically up there. So I actually popped over the MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer. He did a good video on it, and that's where I got most of my information from. So. But yeah, the liquid metal thing, the heat sinks, the fans, I mean, that kind of settled that fear of overheating for me. So, it is what it is. I'm just going to play exclusives on it. I just want it to work.
You sound Southern.
I am very Southern. Yeah. I think Mav told you the other night, I was scared to death I was going to come up here and start talking like you guys. Because I go to Hispanic restaurants all the time, and then the waiter will ask me would you like some tortilla? And I'm like, see, I screw it up that bad. So it's like, if I come up here and start talking like these guys, they're going to get ill with me. I was like, ugh. So.
When I was on my community game night on Saturday, you told me that I have to mention chocolate milk to you.
Jeez. Yeah. I'm a grown man that drinks chocolate milk, and I'm a little ashamed of it.
I drank a litre of that Yazoo drink today. That's Daz's favourite drink, isn't it?
No, you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. It's Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Sorry. Oh yeah.
That's what annoys him.
Yeah.
I heard he loves the stuff.
I don't even think you can get it over here, can you?
What? Yeah,
I think you can. Yeah, I think
you can get.
I think if you remember correctly, isn't he asking for it for a Christmas present?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Technically, that's not chocolate milk. That's chocolate drink. So, I'm a true chocolate milk drinker over here.
Yeah. When I sent you that DM, I seen your smile on cam. Mav just said in the DMs he's rolling. He's loving it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's good to hear your plays of what you've seen with the PS5 breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was happy with it. So, like you said, though, I think VJ was saying, I mean, they need to do something directed towards us. I mean, in the UK and the US here, because I didn't really feel the whole Elton John licking the PS5 thing or sniffing it or whatever he was doing. I was just like, this is cringy, and I don't want to watch this anymore. So
we want to see your video launched, though. We want to see you recording the video and doing all that.
Well, I'm planning on spooning with it right back here in this bed, so you guys will get to see that when I pick it up.
Oh, crazy. But no, it was. I mean, it didn't last long. I mean, I did expect Digital Foundry to get their hands on it, but I don't think they're going to. But we're going to have to wait until launch. We have to wait.
Never say never.
Never
say never.
Yeah, but they're going to buy one. I don't think they're going to get sent one.
I've got a gut feeling they are. I think they're just being put under. I think. Remember, this is the very first showcase. This could be a lead in to multiple showcases.
It could be. You're right. Would you like to take it from there?
Sorry, Mr. Sanity, removable sanity. Sorry, could you just repeat what you said? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I think it's with in terms of the showcase we saw where it was basically the Japanese showcase which showed off all the internals. I think this is a lead into possible more showcases. One of the things I was thinking of is that this could be the start of a week-long, here's loads of information. You could get the Japanese, Japanese event, then you could get Digital Foundry's event. You could get, multiple people could now be released all at once. I mean, a whole week's worth of PlayStation unveiling.
Yeah, I think
that's only going to be.
I think that these two were like very awkward for Sony to do, and they had to get them done and out of the way. It just felt like they just tried to. They didn't really know how to handle it, right? Well, maybe they did, but as I said, the PS5 design doesn't lend itself to be assembled like Richard Ledbetter was doing so, right? And they just felt very awkward and very clinical, shall I say? And I'm with you. I'm hoping that they have better events forthcoming for us.
I think they will. I mean, to be honest with you, I know a few people were like, they found the actual Japanese one where he's blowing into the controller and he's making silly noises kind of cringy. I generally actually found that humorous, and I actually quite enjoyed it because I'm a lover of Japan and their Western and also their anime and their sort of style. So if you're used to that sort of thing, actually you're kind of used to it. But I can understand. Yeah, for us it was like, this is, you see, if you've seen enough anime, this is tame. So it was like, for me it was actually, I found it quite hilarious and humorous, but I can understand it's not going to be everybody's taste. Generally I think it was a good event. One thing I did spot, which I think God Geek you tapped on, was that it was the SSD was just like popped off. I actually asked the question this because when I saw it, it actually looks like it's been screwed down, and I did wonder why that was the case. It's not as if the SSD is going to go anywhere. Once plugged in, it's there. So why would you have a screw that's holding the cover in? So the question I thought I was originally going with this was, is this something that you're not supposed to touch? And I did ask the question whether or not it was, the screws in place were non-tamper screws, because it is one of those things where you see him unscrew it. And I was like, well, if it's supposed to be accessible, surely it should be like almost like a little flick, or almost like a little fold screen sort of thing, just to get in there and pop it out and pop it in. And the second thing was, it's very small. If you're like me, who generally doesn't like going anywhere touching his console in any terms except for turning it on, and who's pretty heavy-handed, my worry was like putting that in. I mean, again, maybe it's just me, but my worry was that it's putting it in, pulling it out when you want to change it. If you've got big thumbs or big hands, it's going to be a bit of a sod.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gods? Do you think it might be a bit too...
No, I don't think so. I mean, it is kind of scary when you mess. I mean, I break my son's toys all the time trying to put batteries in them. So, there's that. But then also when you compare that process with the PS5 of upgrading that SSD to what Xbox has done with just popping something in the back of the box and you're good to go, it's just night and day. I didn't expect it to be that difficult, because even on the PS4, like now, it's relatively easy to swap out the hard drive. I mean, it's not too difficult. I think there's still like one screw in it or something, but I mean, but that was a little bit more, I guess, involved for some people. I think, I mean, obviously, if you're a PC user or if you're someone who does this on a regular basis, it isn't going to bother you. It's going to be the easiest thing in the world. If you're like me, who is pretty heavy-handed and as a little bit like yourself, will break kids' toys at the moment, just looking at it, it's
same. I think,
like I worry. I'm not like, oh, hello. Another thing which I did catch right at the beginning of that whole video, it did say, "Please do not disassemble your." Your PlayStation 5, because you will void manufacturer's warranty. I think it means. Now, I was wondering. Well, I'd like just a little bit of clarification. I'm probably being a bit pedantic, and it means that you can actually just take off the sides with no worries. But
I think it means don't strip your PlayStation 5 down to the way they did. I think
once you get past that black shell, I think then you've voided the warranty. I think you can strip those sides off, change the SSD, but I think once you get inside that black shell, I think it's over at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, see, that's what kind of got me, because it's like you go through. Now, I don't know if these are tamper screws to get to the SSD.
Mm-hmm.
Is there?
It didn't say that. It didn't show that. So I guess I'm being on the cautious side, and I'm sure there's loads of people going, "You're an absolute idiot." Of course, it means you can take the sides off.
Removable sanity. Do you think that they've gone for a more elegant solution rather than a practical one in terms of expansion? Yeah.
Without a doubt, yes. I think it is. It is. You can tell it's there to look amazing, and it does look amazing. I said before, I've liked the design. I actually love it. The fact that you can have the sides come off, and you can easily. I think I mentioned this on previous podcasts. I said I bet they come off.
Yeah, I mean,
and strangely enough, it did come off. I'm not going to.
Plus, they mentioned the fact it can easily be hoovered as well. They brought that up, didn't they?
Yeah,
easily be hoovered on a weekly basis.
Yeah, there's dust collectors in it.
There you go, Matt. Do you want to have your view on the PS5 breakdown and YouTuber reveal?
I guess I can look at a breakdown, and I mean, because I understand some of the more technical aspects of it, but for the average person out there, man, like they take this thing apart, and it doesn't do anything for them. So I think the biggest things that we were kind of looking for today was the SSD expansion. How does that work? What's the slot? How difficult is it to access it, which helps? And then I guess more on the cooling system. And kind of one of the things that I found a little weird is that it's not going to vent through the top if it's standing up. It's venting through the back. So like a normal AV like stand, I don't ever put the back on. Like when you assemble them, you have that thin piece of wood, you can put it so you can't see the wires and stuff behind it. I don't put that on because I've actually had my Xbox One X overheat in a cubby hole.
Oh, okay.
So when I kicked out the back of it, I took that back off. Air movement was way, way better, and I don't have any issues with my Xbox One X overheating. My PS4 Pro still gets a little hot in the cubby hole with no back, but to me, it's a concern because a lot of people are just going to throw it in an AV rack and not really think about it. And then that machine is going to be pulling in air from the top, kicking it out the back, basically filling that little shelf you got with your system, holding it with hot air, which the system's going to draw back in and send through the system again. So I think there's a potential that people may run into overheating issues early on until they kind of figure out what the cabinet they're going to stick it in. But I mean, for me, I'm probably going to keep them out. Like my PS4 Pro is better when it's not in a cabinet. When I have it on the very top and it has access to air all around it, that's usually when it's quiet. If I stick it in one of the cubby holes, it's always louder. It kind of works like a speaker almost, and even makes the buzzing now or the fan noise even louder if it's in a cubby hole. So it's for me, it's just throw it on top next to the record player. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, it works, and it's quiet. But I don't really know because I have a lot of I live alone. I can do whatever I want with my stereo stuff and put stuff anywhere in the house. I don't have a wife or a girlfriend or somebody yelling at me sitting there going like, hey, that looks like crap. Why is that thing out in the open? Or what the hell is that thing? I don't got to deal with any of that. But like, there's a lot of people out there that have to worry about these kinds of things. And I don't know. I think the breakdown was it was good. I don't think it helps a lot of people. As far as the SSD, I'm not gonna have a problem popping an SSD in there. That's not. That's like simple to me compared to a lot of the stuff I do with electronics. But for a ton of moms and stuff out there, they're not going to want to do this. You're going to want to open your 10-year-old son's thing if you don't know how to take stuff apart. So
I do think
Xbox, I think, went with the Xbox. Basically, chose the simple solution. It's as idiot-proof as they could possibly make it. It fits in one slot. It will not fit in any other slot. It won't even remotely closely fit into the USB or the Cat 5 adapter thing. So it's almost like Xbox is sitting there thinking that you're going to have to get an SSD at some point, and Sony's kind of more along the lines of like, maybe 80% of our people will never need an SSD, and the people who actually do need one will be the technical capabilities to actually pop off a cover and undo one screw, drop in the hard drive SSD, and then seal it back up. So I don't know. I mean, how many people actually even have extra hard drive space?
Me.
I don't have one for my PS4 Pro. I have it for my Xbox. I have 10 terabytes. But my PlayStation, I don't worry about it.
I mean, yeah, but you are right. They've actually made it idiot-proof. I mean, War Stew's saying there in the chat, who wants to plug an external SSD in 24/7? But you say that, War Stew, but it's literally like it's the size of a big USB stick. It won't hurt nothing. It's not like you've got a big, like the old external hard drives. It's a little US like big shape USB.
It's the size of a PS2 memory card.
Well, yeah, it's not going to hurt. No, you know what I mean. It's not like the old hard drives. I just got to shout out some more people that came in. Welcome Green Pass Gaming. Welcome Shonzu. I think that's it. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, tonight. I'm much appreciated. But yeah, no, you are right, Matt. It's kind of idiot-proof, really, you know. But what I can see, I know you say like it's one screw and it should be simple for the majority of people. But like you say with the mums and that, I can see them paying people to actually open it up and do it for them. I can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or
There's
call
a
up
market
the
there.
family nerd to come take care of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Best Buy will probably charge people $30 to throw it in for you.
Yeah, I can see it.
You'll be raking it in by next year. It'll be in the millions.
Oh, no.
When are we having Mr. Warwick back on?
We'll have to arrange that. We will. I've got the next few weeks booked up, but I'll definitely have to get him back on.
Definitely.
And is Mr. Tushi ever coming on again?
I know.
Not really.
He hasn't really
He's a
spoken.
loudmouth.
He doesn't shut up in the DMs, you know.
We just can't post pictures here. That's the problem.
I think his parrots are holding him hostage, so we'll have to take out the parrots.
You can have them if you want.
What's your view on the PS5, Satoshi? Even though I know your view, but tell everyone.
I'm finally glad that they've done the teardown. It's clarified a few things, that there is definitely a external M.2 slot for expansion, because there was questions of the internal being changed, wasn't there?
Yeah, sorry, Dragon Wolf, welcome. I missed you there. Sorry about that. Yeah, there was question on that. You're right. There was.
Was that fake news though, or was it just someone? Because every time someone used to say it said that, oh, it's been replaced. It's like, but is it though? I thought, didn't Shani say it wasn't? I mean,
Well, you think of it this way: how stupid would it be to take a multi-$100 SSD, take it out, to put in a larger
Yeah,
one,
you
and
are right.
throw it in a
Yeah.
drawer? Like,
That was fake. You are right there. You're talking about a part of the system that if you put in wrong, you could fuck your console. You are right, and I never thought of that. I reckon that was fake news that was put out there by some moron, I guess. You know,
Most
I don't even know what
it
the
could have.
most
It's a
expensive part
fanboy.
of
Could have
the
been a
damn thing
fanboy.
is. Or the APU. I don't know what they're paying for these damn things, but yeah, there was no way they're gonna. It was just gonna. It had to be expandable. To sit there and take a 825 gig hard drive and just throw it away would be complete waste. So when I heard that initially, I thought it was strange. It was like, why would they design it that way? It would be a terrible design.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, yeah, it's yeah. I don't know
Well,
why.
speaking of that-
Yeah.
Does the actual size of the actual slot for the SSD limit what type of SSD you can go in there? I mean, admittedly, obviously, the actual processing power and the speed is going to limit it anyway. But in terms of the third-party aspect,
There's actually, I think there's 4 different ones, different sizes and going. I'm trying to look for it now, but I can't remember where I stored it.
Well, our beloved Jason Ronald dropped some news today. He did about the SSD to shut everyone up. I think over time you'll see this as a category that's really crucial to us. You'll see multiple options and different form factors and different sizes. But what was really important for us is that we had a simple, easy to use options available day one. You can expect to see more options moving forward. He was talking about the expandable storage on the Xbox Series X and S. You know, but at least someone came out and actually said it. Because people were running with stories like, "Oh, it's proprietary. It's a deal with Seagate. You'll just have to buy Seagate, and that's it." So it's clearly not true.
Anyway, back to me.
Yeah.
Talk on the show is I enjoyed it because we got to see the whole console stripped down. The only thing that surprised me, it looked bigger than what I thought. That guy, they should have put somebody who was 6'2" or something in there. That PS5 was bigger than his shirt.
Yeah, Japanese dudes are just a lot smaller than us. Like, I don't know, Americans are pretty fat, so unfortunately. But like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the Japanese guys are what, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8".
You're right. They should.
I'm pretty small at 5'10", so at least I feel small at 5'10".
I mean, you guys didn't see it. I mean, Mr. Tucci, you need to this. He drives a lorry, right? And he made a video earlier on about the size of the PlayStation, and he had me in stitches. I was thinking, if you put that on YouTube, you'll get a lot of traction. You know what I mean? He does his little videos in his lorry where he talks, but he doesn't upload them to YouTube, and I think he should.
So Tucci's Truckers Talk.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh because like it was literally covering his whole body. I think it was just the wrong. Like, he should at least stood up or something. I think, unless he was standing, I don't know.
Do you think the size is going to be an issue for people?
Nah.
The only issue it is for me is where am I going to put it? I mean, all I've got it right now is my desk, and there's no way my entertainment system in the living room can handle that thing standing up. I don't want to put it sideways, but I might just have to stick it behind the TV or in the floor or something. I don't know. It's tall though. It's really tall. The Series X will fit within one of my little cubbies fine, but looking at it like side by side and some of the virtual reality, or what is it called? Augmented reality, I guess, side by sides of the Series X is like, there's no way I'm going to have to buy an entertainment system. So I don't want to do that right now. So yeah, it's going to be, it's massive. It's a big console, but I mean, I think
world's biggest.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody hit it on nail on the head today at Twitter. It was like, if you want these consoles to have, high-end PC power and performance, they're going to have to be the size of high-end PCs. So, I mean, you might as well get ready. They're only going to get bigger.
It's true. If you want the more power and all these top specs and that, you're going to have bigger systems. If you were able to compact all of that, you'd get more. Basically, everything would be. If you had to shrink everything down, the console would be too expensive, wouldn't they? You'd be talking thousands if you wanted to be really, really small.
That's probably a big part why that SSD expansion for the Xbox is so expensive, because it's so small. Slip it in your pocket. It's so the smaller they get, the more expensive they get, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That Series S is impressive, though.
Well, think back to the start of this gen. Anybody when did everybody buy their first hard disk drive for game storage? I actually bought one back in 2004. I think I bought a 500 gig for a couple $100, and it was a standard. Just I don't know. I think it was a 5600 RPM. I don't even think it was a 7200. And they were expensive. And then 1 gigs were outrageous. I don't think you could even get bigger than 1 gig or 2 gig at that time. Now I have an 8 gig. I've had an 8 gig for 4 years, and I think I paid as much for my 8 gig as I did for my 1 gig years ago.
Oh yeah.
So it comes down quick. A lot of people are so worried about this, but it wasn't really a concern at the start of the current gen, and I don't think it's going to be much of a concern 2 or 3 years into
time.
This gen.
The SSDs are going to half, aren't they? Probably, or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I have a T5 Samsung for my Xbox, and it's 550 megabyte read speeds, and they came out with a T7, which is essentially double that, and it's the same price I paid a year ago for my T5. So I mean, you're getting twice the transfer speeds for the same amount of money today in a year. So that I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I think in 3 years' time, most of these they'll be fairly cheap, but they're going to be a lot for people up front. It's just the cost of being an early adopter.
Definitely is. Welcome, Big Josh, to the chat. I'm not sure. Well, that's the person's name anyway. I can hear you laughing, Removable.
Me? No, surely not.
My externals, I paid, I think it was £95 for a 4 terabyte. I bought 2 of them.
Wow, that really is cheap. Because I remember when I bought I had a 1 terabyte. Well, going back some years now, and that was 90 quid.
But then,
now,
last year I upgraded my. I put my 4 terabyte onto my PS4 Pro, and then I bought an 8 terabyte from Amazon. It was 80 quid for 8 terabyte. Just bargain, isn't it?
That is a bargain.
It was on offer It was on offer that day, so I nabbed it.
Yeah, Black Friday deals. You never know.
I wish I would have 2 now. We had loads of space then.
Oh, most definitely.
But generally, though, everyone seems to be happy with the fact that it's now out there. PlayStation has just gone. They've dropped the information. It's out there. Everyone can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, because I suspect if you're like me, I was like, are we just going to get it in the post? no information. I think a lot of people are now like, we now know more about it, which I think everyone wanted, regardless of whichever platform you wanted. They wanted to see this information.
I think it was more of a relief because it was the first time people have properly seen it. I think, yeah, we saw it in the Japan show the other day, but I think today was a good one because we'd actually seen the console itself in the hands of somebody, and they literally stripped down as well. So I think it's a big relief for everyone, really.
Oh, definitely. You know, I mean, as I say, though, I mean, this doesn't really matter because, like, the average consumer is just going to buy a PS5 because they're PS5s. It's just the branding. It's just people. The majority of people don't care about specs. I know there's a 30%. I know the PS5 apparently has got a 30% delta between the Series X. You know, basically 30% weaker. But the average consumer don't give a crap really. You're just going to buy it because it's a PlayStation and that's it. You know.
Yeah, my brother is actually he's always been a PlayStation guy. He's constantly, I mean, just because it's PlayStation, he doesn't know specs. He's not as nerdy and geeky as I am, but he's always bought PlayStation to play Call of Duty and Madden. And literally this past week, I had the opportunity to get him a PS5 digital edition, and I texted him. I said, "Hey, I can order this right now." And he's like, "You know what? No, I think I'm going to go with the Xbox."
Really?
It's because he's heard through other people, word of mouth. That, because if I tell him, he doesn't believe me.
Oh, okay.
If everybody else tells him, then he's all of a sudden he thinks there's something to it, and he's looked into it. He's like, hey, wait, Xbox has got the power this time. They got the speed, they got the SSD, they got the games, and what Xbox is offering is just a much better deal this time around than especially what it was in 2013, and now also versus what Sony's offering. Sony's going into this generation just with brand respect and the exclusives that they have. Everybody knows they're going to deliver great exclusives. So, I mean, it's funny to me. I'm seeing lots and lots of people, and just in my social circles, not even on YouTube or Twitter, but just in my social circles, people who have been on PlayStation for years and years and years are switching this time around with the Xbox because of what Xbox has done. And I mean, they've put the gamer at the center, the focus, and the gamers are responding. I mean, that's, if my brother can swap, anybody can swap. Okay.
Almost definitely. Welcome, Ronan Samurai. He's on the podcast in a few weeks. Also, War Stew, the Series X was broke down in March, by the way. If you need to go on YouTube and have a look, they did a full breakdown of it.
Can I just say something about what Warwick said? He said the Chinese are saying let's make cheap SSDs. Let's get to work. I can actually agree with that.
They probably will, though. Yeah. Welcome, Dreadpool. Thanks for stopping by.
The good old Dreadpool. I say old. He's young, really.
I'm still jealous of his beard, though.
It's glorious, isn't it? Especially as someone who can barely, it looks like I've just stuck pubes in my face. I'm technically very jealous about that sort of beard.
I'm jealous of Dreadpool's had long hair, man. I'm growing mine out to donate it, and he has a length I'd be able to donate. He's probably in the thing going, I'm never cutting my hair ever.
You ever seen my hair?
You don't have any, do you?
Nope.
That's exactly it.
I haven't got any either.
Bald as a coot.
It's funny. I have no on hair, but I was shaved for like 15 years. Metal. I would do it every Thursday. I would just shave my head metal just because it was way easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
If I went bald, I would not be upset at all. I would just be like, oh, that's like a third of my head. I don't have to shave anymore. Shaving my head clean, it's got a lot easier.
See, I don't even go to the hairdressers because I bought head shaver thing, and literally when my wife cuts my hair, when you pick it up, it's like a handful of hair. It's really not worth going and pay money.
You fart and it disappears.
Yeah.
I was having a drink then.
Oh, not that. Yeah. Don't set Daz off. He just keep calling me bold in the chat. I'm used to being called bold. It does not. I embrace it.
So next topic. Come on, Stubbsy. Chop chop.
Next topic then. So there was a tweet sent out by Colt Eastwood. It says, "Here are the holiday 2020 launch exclusives for Xbox Series S and X and Xbox platform. 9 games. Well, one of them's Crossfire, Second Extinction, The Falconeer." He says 9 games, but the Gears Tactics, Cold of Steel, Medium, Bright Memory, Infinite, The Ascent, and I can't make out what the picture says. Does anyone else know?
Grounded is in there. One of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's Grounded. Sorry, yes, it's Grounded. Yes. The question is, are any of these system sellers also? I'm going to say it as well. Is there any games on the PS5 that any of you lot think would be deemed what you would think would make you buy a PS5? I'll go with this time. Let's think. Let's start off with Matt.
All right, looking at the games, I wouldn't say any of them are system sellers. You might get a little bit with Medium. Like, I'm very interested in Medium. Bright Memory Infinite looks really good. Crossfire X is something I'm interested in. I don't know. But even if you go to the PS5 side, there's not a lot on that side that I'm sitting there going like, wow, this is awesome. Like, they have Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon Souls, Sackboy Asteroids Playroom, Ratchet & Clank at some point in the window. I don't think that's coming at launch, but it'll probably be a couple months down the road, maybe early next year. But I don't know. It's if I go back to the Xbox One and the PS4 launches, there was really nothing exclusively that I was dying to get my hands on. It was mostly third party. Like,
It seems to be a trend, doesn't it? Really?
well, there's no install base. I mean, a lot of times you get, like, why would Sony want to release God of War at launch when, even if they do their damnedest, they're not going to have 10 million consoles, 15 million consoles at most in a year? So you'd want to do that year 2 or 3 when you have maybe 25 to 35 million people, hopefully, and then you'll sell to 20% of that base. It wouldn't do much. Like, Halo being there is huge, because Xbox is always viewed as like the first person shooter box, and Halo's their big franchise. And that won't go anywhere over time. Like, if you pick that up in a year and you start playing online, you're still getting all the same stuff. And then that's going to be basically a games as a service title where they're going to keep adding to it. That game's just going to continue over the next decade to evolve. So launching Halo at launch with the intended launch would have worked out great for Xbox, but it doesn't really do anything for me for a single player. And it makes more sense to try to sell that game when you actually have an install base. But I mean, the games I'm most excited for launch are all the third-party stuff, man. Like Watch Dogs Legions. Far Cry 6 won't be there at launch, but that's still window. I think it's February. It's supposed to come out if it's not delayed. Cyberpunk, of course, but we won't get the next-gen upgrades till we don't even know.
I'll get March, wasn't it?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything.
Did you say Cyberpunk?
Yeah, Cyberpunk. Like, we'll get it. You can play it on the new consoles, but you're not getting like the ray tracing and all that stuff till later.
Yeah, I reckon you're looking at the probably the end of the 2021 if you get it. I mean, because they've got a habit of they spend a lot of time making sure things are polished. So I don't think they'd be too concerned about rushing the patch out, to be honest.
Yeah, that's one of those weird games right now. Is like, I mean, because that's one of those games you can play it on backwards compatibility, and you're probably going to get 60 frames per second, as we've already seen on these other backwards compatible games. But it's not going to have the fancy, Series X patch or the PlayStation 5 patch like we want it to with the ray tracing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a weird generation.
But like, here's the one strange thing that people just seem to keep getting lost. Like, this is really the first console that we'll be buying that's kind of like upgrading a GPU in your CPU in your PC, because like all the old games we already have, you're going to be getting double the frame rates, and pop-in and all that stuff should be going away. So like, the game should actually run how they intended it to. all these years later. like Crackdown. I read an article today on Crackdown. That's going to be at 60 frames a second. And the guy's like, even with Keys to the City and loading up as much stuff into the street as I possibly could and blowing it all up, he goes, the frames never dropped. He said, it's just locked 60.
Mhm.
It's like, are you kidding me? Like, that was going to be so much fun at locked 60 because it was a really bad on 360. And then even on the Xbox One, it's better, but it's still not. It's only half the frame rate.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you got stuff like Secure running 60 frames a second. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, not only frame rates, but the load times, man, just flying in there. I mean, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 got cut by like a minute. I think it was a minute faster. So, I mean, the load times are going to be better. You're going to have higher resolution, higher frame rates on all your old games. And then people say, I can't stand it, man. There's these people on Twitter who say, like, you know, like, who wants to play old games? Like, I mean, me personally, I play old games. I guess we consider Ghost of Tsushima. I can't even say that word. Good Lord. If you call that game old, I would love to play that on the PS5 at higher resolution, higher frame rates, you know, and it's, you know, that's part of it. Like, I think, you know, back to the question about, like, Stubbs was asking, like, which one of these games is a console seller. I kind of agree with Matt. Like, there's not a lot here that's console sellers. I mean, the only one that would have been, in my opinion, is Halo Infinite. And like, with that pushed back, which I still think that's going to be a spring release. I'm holding to that. I'm praying for it every night. Like, please just get Halo Infinite in the spring, man. I want it so bad. But you know, Halo Infinite, losing that at launch was a big deal. So now, like you said, it's down to third party. On the PlayStation side, in my opinion, the only one that you got that's really a console mover that's going to be this fall is going to be Demon's Souls. Ratchet, I don't even know if we're going to see that early next year or not. I don't know. I mean, that could be summer, fall, whatever next year. But Spider-Man's DLC, and you can play it on the PS4. So I don't know. It's such a weird situation, man. You know, but you got Demon's Souls on the PS5. You got, you know, pretty much nothing. I mean, in all honesty, even though I'm an Xbox guy, you don't have anything that's going to sell consoles like Demon's Souls is on the PS5. And I mean, but I do think that the Xbox has those other things, like you were saying, backwards compatibility. It's much better than the competition. Just power and performance of this console, the way it's going to make your games look better, the quick resume stuff, like the quality of life improvements on that console. Just like you said earlier, it's like going from my crappy Ryzen 5 PC I have right here to the full shebang. Okay, like it's a huge leap, and you're going to see it across all games, not just the new ones.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I want to clear something up in the chat. Right. I know some people have claimed that the Xbox Series X is going to hit 4K, 120 frames per second, but they're not going to hit 4K, 120 frames per second with ray tracing switched on. I don't ever think Xbox has actually said that in any of their videos they've made. I think a lot of YouTubers have just said it for clicks. You ain't getting it. You'll be lucky to get 460 with ray tracing. You will, because I think what they're going to have is they're going to have modes where you can pick what resolution you want, or if you want ray tracing on. But I think they're just going to give you the options. But no one's ever officially said, yes, it can do 4K, 120 frames per second with ray tracing. The company hasn't said that.
Digital Foundry did a pretty in-depth review on ray tracing as a general element. And they took one of the top-tier PCs. They did Minecraft with ray tracing fully on. And it went from, without ray tracing, I think it was around the 240 frames per second. It barely could push 30 frames per second. So when you're going to get ray tracing, it's going to be a blend. It's not going to be full fat ray tracing. It could be like a skimmed milk version. It's going to be a lighter version, or it may be a combination of various elements of ray tracing. And as Stubbs point out, it's going to probably be a mode upon which you utilize. So yes, you may get, say, 60 frames per second with a ray tracing element to it, but that may actually mean you have to have your resolution at 1080. You know, I mean, obviously it's going to be depending on every individual developer what they can push their individual games. But to get the full fat ray tracing is, I don't think even many PCs can do that at this stage. And again, I could be wrong, but as far as what I saw from Digital Foundry, the processing power for that is horrendous. As I said, they went from a 240 frames per second on, I think it's like Minecraft, and when they just put in the full everything pushing it hard, race tracing as hard as possible, it barely could handle 30.
Right.
Was it 24 is running at? Or something like that?
It's something like that. It was 20. It wasn't even hitting. I think it was about 24. It was barely hitting 30, and they could see it struggling.
I think we're clear. Just in the chat, people kept saying, War Stew kept saying that it'd be a fail, but it wouldn't be because Xbox have never claimed it's going to do that. That's just certain YouTubers claiming that's what's going to happen. It's never been claimed, so it wouldn't be deemed a failure. It wouldn't,
And if you watch those trailers, it says 4K, up to 120 frames per second.
Does it say with ray tracing, does it?
Yeah, and supports ray tracing. Like, you're going to have a choice. Like, do you care about resolution? Do you care about frame rate? Or do you want the ray tracing? It's like, I'm sure, I think Call of Duty said they're going to run 120 frames per second. I don't think that's going to be 4K, 120 frames per second. You'll probably be 1440p, so you have to choose, pick your poison, whichever one you prefer.
Like
I'm more of a frame rate guy, so yeah, exactly. So console people are going to taste it.
Decent guys are doing that now. There's a lot of guys who will do I saw Battlefield 5 videos. They would go on, they'd turn on all the ray tracing effects, and they'd play a little bit with it. And they're like, I turn all this crap off when I play normally because I want the frames. It's cool, it looks awesome, but for actual gaming, most people will choose day of the week over ray tracing. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends. We'll find out when this next gen starts how much ray tracing we'll get, but I don't know. I'll take frames. I want frames. Give me the option. Just do whatever you got to do to give me the option to get the highest.
Options is better. Options.
I think that's what you'll get on both systems. It's like, where was it? Scroll back through the chat. Warwick said he was playing. There we go. He was playing Crysis on the Xbox One X, and it offered him 3 modes. I picked the 4K quality, and the ray tracing didn't look very good. But that's because it's quite a powerful game, But as he said, you've been offered 3 options. And I think this next generation on PlayStation and Xbox, I think you're going to get choice of modes, what you want to use, I think. But let's turn back round to the actual games and game sellers. We've covered Matt. I think we've covered Geeks Gods now. Do you want to talk now, VJ?
Yeah, I can do if you like. Unless Mr. Kushi wants to go next.
No, you crack on.
We haven't heard from him since last week.
I know. He's still eating his fish and chips.
Okay.
John,
sorry, before you go, do you know a funny story about my fish and chips?
Go on then.
Well,
we didn't really want any viewers.
No, I stood up. You kick the recliner back to lock it back in. When I've done that, my fish and chips fell on the bloody floor in the rug. I lost half a fish and bag of chips.
This is why they call this the British podcast.
I'm just glad I ate the kebab first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, crack on.
I think I said on some different show maybe a little while ago for what was it, for these exclusive titles, right, that are up and coming, right, for PlayStation, for the upcoming consoles, right? Is that what we're talking about, Stubbs? Is that right? Third-party games, right, and how important they are. So, yeah, I think the current gen to next gen hardware transition, and I just saw something that Indie Gamer put in the chat, which I quite agree with, and it just is a very, very different time right now in terms of excellent third-party multi-format titles being made available, right? All on current gen and next gen hardware, all coming at once, and let's not put aside, everybody's got a backlog, right? So I definitely have, and Cyberpunk and obviously a few notable other titles seem to have. Oh goodness, what's that, man? The helicopter's gone, and I feel like I'm in a submarine now. So, but. And a few, but anyway, besides Cyberpunk and a few other really good titles that are coming out, especially the Ubisoft ones that were delayed from last holiday, right, and first quarter till now, seem to have somewhat taken away the necessity of having that one really big game or several really good next gen games at the launch of the hardware, even the launch window of the hardware, arguably. I think the audience right now is really interesting compared to when I look back at the 90s and early 2000s. The gaming audience has really changed. I kind of feel, and it's more of a feeling than an analytical, assessment, is more divided in terms of like really big tentpole blockbuster games versus a very reassuring and revolving variety or plethora of games, in Game Pass. So I remember, like, once upon a time before COVID, when we were like free to wander and roam our native land without Boris Beckham or Carlos, if you prefer. He's still prime minister, right, in England. Before he invoked, a form of like house arrest and incommunicado, I would sort of frequently be able to go down to the chippy like Mr. Tucci does, or I'd enjoy the local Asian or Oriental buffets. Sometimes those spring rolls were a bit dry though. And on several occasions, I would, sort of very much look forward to a fine dining experience, right, which sort of offered a unique but expensive, how can I put it, a la carte menu, right, full of delicious and sort of mouth-watering dishes. I personally, for me, I enjoyed visiting the chippy and the fine dining experiences. So the chippy in this little story sort of corresponds to indie games. The buffet sort of equates to all the new games included in Game Pass at launch, right? However, a buffet, if you look carefully enough, you can always find a few hidden, sort of salivating dishes, right, or desserts, right? And I'm sort of referring to games specifically for me in terms of like Yakuza Like a Dragon or Dragon Quest 11, which I think is out in December sometimes in the definitive edition, right, in 3D and 2D mode. The fine dining experiences are what Sony are seemingly offering, right, with Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, and to quickly, apparently, is supposed to be followed up with Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War 2, amongst several others, I presume, all within the launch year, right? And they actually sold about over 20 million units, right, in the first 15 months, I think, of launch, right? And at the end of the day, this is all very, very subjective. And it's each to his or her own, I feel. But let's be honest, that there's always sort of like, whenever I go on social media, which I really dislike doing unless I'm chatting to sort of people that I know now in the community, there's always sort of vigorous and passionate advocates, right? And in most cases, I don't know why it's just me, but I come across complete imbeciles, right, on both sides of the console divide, right, throwing around sort of like...
Sorry.
Go on. What happened?
No, you said sorry. No, sorry. You come across imbeciles. I went sorry.
No. Well, we all do, right? Maybe it's just me, right, and my age and stuff. But divide, like, and yeah. So yeah, on both sides of the console divide, and then sort of like throwing around playground insults and commentary via tweets, which I really don't care for at all. I would rather have Sam
Xbox
Fox.
sucks.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather, and Mr. Tucci knows me really well. I would rather have Sam Fox perform a vasectomy on me with a set of Jack and Becker power tools, right, penetrating my scrotum, right, performed.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I had that done last year.
So, but yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a few other bits and pieces. I mean, this is quite a deep topic. I can go on, but I think we better just stop there. Otherwise, Dazarus is going to be on my case.
We know you like it deep anyway, VJ. So carry on.
Yeah, carry on, VJ. You're fine.
No, it's. I was going to say some other stuff, but it's kind of going off topic a little bit. It was just about, we were talking about, Mr. Tucci and I were talking about, like, I know we're talking about next gen systems and all these great games, and there was just one game, right, that was kind of like sat with me, and I was a bit disappointed in how it was portrayed, and like I think it was Bend Studios that made Days Gone, and I finally bought it in a sale because I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I don't want that game. I don't really know the studio, so I waited until I bought it in a sale for like $20 odd, and I finally bought it. And I'm sorry, but for me, it was a really, really good game. I'd never seen the Unreal Engine perform like that before, right? I mean, I've played all the Bioshock games, I've played the Sonic games, and all sorts, right? And I was just like, for the life of me, couldn't understand why IGN, gave it a 6.5 out of 10. And it's not a case of that, oh, don't listen to them or don't watch them, but millions and millions and millions and millions of people do. It's got nothing to do with it being a Sony studio. I'm sure Xbox studios have suffered a similar fate, right? It's about Sony or Xbox believing in sort of their studios, and Sony believing in Bend, and also I was kind of just talking to him about how Xbox sort of treats studios and the historic lack of creative vision that they have, right? And there is a distinction between running studios and separately from the business model that they have, business and model that they have in terms of subscriptions and the acquisition of acquiring content, right? That they've adopted for the Xbox going forward. So anyway, there's more to say, but let's crack on.
I am hearing that a lot though about that game from Ben Studios. A lot of people say it's a cracking game.
It is good. I've got it. It's a really good game.
Is it better than God of War?
Yeah, 10 times better.
Oh no!
Tell Wall Street that as well.
You can't get on with God of War. He just
Nah.
I love God of War, but Days Gone is really good though. Yeah. I don't know if it's good as God of War,
Really,
but
absolutely.
No, that was
Playing
for
Days Gone.
That was for Wall
Right
Street
now.
in the chat, that was.
Days Gone was entertaining. It had action, zombies, killing stuff. It was fun.
it had a good story too.
Bikes.
See, here's one thing I'm kind of upset though, is because we still don't really know backwards compatibility to PS5. Like Days Gone does not run well. If you play the game, it skips, it stutters, it weird pop-in. There's a bunch of stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a great game. I still enjoy it. I'm still having a ton of fun playing it. But if I knew that the PS5 would clean that up, like the Xbox series are going to end up doing for backwards compat, oh my god, I would stop playing it right now and I would wait. Because it drives me insane. Like these stupid little stutters it's horrible.
Matt, when did you? Because I only bought it a few months back, right? So it's probably a year after release. I think it was released in April last year. So I bought it in the sale, and I didn't really find any of those kind of issues with the game. Did you buy it when it first came out, or was it more recent than that?
I played it today. I've been playing it this past week.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with your PlayStation.
It's a PS4 Pro. It sounds like a jet engine when it's running, but
I agree.
I don't remember. Did they have a performance mode on that game? Was there performance mode and visuals mode, or could you choose? I don't even remember.
I think I looked and you can't. I think you're just stuck with it. Like I'll have to check it again because I don't really know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't have the option on this one.
Yeah, I was just thinking like Marvel's Avengers. Like if you put that thing in performance mode, it looks ugly. It looks really ugly. So I've just kept it in 4K mode. But I didn't know if it was a similar deal there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really wish that PlayStation would at least come out and say what they're doing with backwards compatibility. Like they said, they're going to have games that can actually take advantage of the extra hardware instead of just downclocking it. Like I'm not worried about them working. They'll work on PS5. I'm just more worried about what is actually going to be able to take advantage of included.
I've got a question for the panel. Does anybody know? You know when Sony unveiled the price point for the PlayStation 5, and then there was this edition of a dozen or 18 titles that will be provided to be available to play with PlayStation Plus. Were those titles enhanced in any way? They were just bundled in. Was there any indication that those games were enhanced or not?
They were just bundled in. They were just bundled in.
It didn't say at all. I mean, it was just like an extra benefit for PlayStation Plus members. So I mean.
Yeah, they're not enhanced, I don't think. I think they're just a straight up these 18 games. Like Battlefield 1's one of them. There's a couple of third-party games, but they're mostly the big the PlayStation exclusives.
The problem is, though, with that, I mean, I know they didn't mention if they were enhanced, but the problem is, if you're already in that ecosystem and you love the PlayStation exclusives, you've already most likely already own them.
Yeah, I own all of them myself. So
it's not really a big benefit. It's for the new gamers that will really benefit to buy PS5.
I have to just say something to that, Stubbs. Right. So I've got those. I've bought those games like most of us have. But one good thing for me is like if I'm going to buy a digital machine, or if I'm going to buy a PS5, right? What's really cool for me, besides us not knowing whether these games have got a performance mode, is not having to keep getting up and plugging those games in when I want to play them. Being able to access them just digitally and on the fly, that's kind of really appealing to me. But that's because I don't have to go and buy those games digital again, especially if I want to trade them in and then buy them. At least I know
got a point.
Saves.
I've got a point there. Basically, if you were to cancel your PS Plus, them games are gone.
Yep.
Same thing with Game Pass.
I suppose, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but see, I think that's the big thing, though. I think this is not meant to be Game Pass, but for someone who's planning on converting from Xbox to PlayStation, this gives them an instant game collection the same way that Game Pass gives
Definitely.
an Xbox converter instant game collection. So
I think that's the idea. I think as well
Right.
behind it.
Yeah, it appeals to more people outside of your ecosystem than it does that were in it.
But also, it points to people like VJ that have, as he said, he's got discs and basically he can trade them in or sell them or whatever. And then it's trying to get people into the digital ecosystem. Do you think they're trying to get people more into?
I think basically Microsoft, Nintendo not at the moment, but Nintendo and Microsoft very aggressively, especially in Japan, they're reducing retail facings and they're just trying to wean everybody off of digital. I spoke about this extensively yesterday on Four Guys with Quarters as to why they would do it. And because basically, if you think about it historically, right, up until maybe a couple of years ago, right, GameStop, Game in the UK, GameStation, EB, they during the 90s and the early 2000s, they controlled the video gaming industry. If you wanted to get your hardware, your accessories, whether first party or third party, if you wanted to get your games, if you wanted to hire their window storefronts to advertise your product, if you wanted a number 1 or number 2 or number 3 slot, because they are not based on pre-orders, those spots are bought because I bought them right in the past when I was in the industry, and they don't have that power. Right? The storefronts had the power, but what happens when they disappear and it goes to Microsoft and Sony? They become the store owners. They own the whole ecosystem or the whole business supply chain, right from being able to conceive a product and delivering it in your hands, and they earn up to, I think it was like $27 on a first party game based on a $60 retail price point. So
wow.
It's in their favor, 100% in their favor, because GameStop, I can tell you, were historically, right, they would hold publishers to ransom, right? They would delay payments. They would take 90 days or 120 days if the game was moving a little bit slower than what they wanted to. They're getting a taste of their own medicine in some form, factor, or another. The only thing, obviously, they're useful for right now, I would say, is that hardware has to be delivered in some shape or form to consumers. And I can understand now why Sony and Microsoft are starting to push, selling systems through their own stores, because people are saying, well, the BOM cost for PlayStation's $450 and they're selling it for $5, so they're making a bit of money, but people don't factor in, the margins, that GameStop, the shipping costs, the logistics, and all of that stuff that goes in as well, right? That does bite into the margin somewhat. And who does that go into? To GameStop, right? At the end of the day, and Amazon, and I don't know where Best Buy is it over here, and Target,
No.
right? So,
Oh yes, so in US, yes.
so, yeah, I'll get confused where I am half the time. So anyway, sorry, please continue.
That's quite an eye opener, though, VJ. I never thought they made that much money out of a game.
Yeah, retailers.
I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah, so if a game retails at $60, right? Normally, if it's a mum and pop shop, which is serviced typically by a distributor, and not directly, they don't have direct accounts with Sony, Capcom, Konami, and all those, and Microsoft, they will get at least 20 points off. Retailers get anything between 25 to 30% off of RRP, but then they have stuff like MDF, which is like a marketing deferment fund, and so on and so forth. And then they have like X percentages for returns and so on and so forth. And it all adds up. And then you've got to take away the cost of manufacturing the disc, the cost of actually running the DADC plant in itself, the people there as well, then the logistics.
Well, VJ, don't forget, you have to actually try to guess how many people are going to want a physical. Exactly. Do you make 1 million? Do you make 5 million? Do you make 10?
Sorry, could you clarify that question? I didn't quite.
Well, like, wait, if let's say like the Spider-Man Miles Morales that's coming out at launch, how many physical discs do you make for PS5?
Basically, Sony.
So if you say they make 1 million of them and they only sell 400,000 of them, now they got 600,000 of them sitting in warehouses all around the world that they're going to have to take a bath on. They're probably going to discount them to get rid of them.
So basically, 100,000 discs. It's not a question of it's not like it was in cartridges when you had Mega Drive and Game Boy, where I'd place an order with Nintendo and I'd have to wait 3 months to get my order, right? If I wanted it to come over by sea. Discs are manufactured; they can produce 100,000 in a day, right? So, I mean, Sony know how many hardware units that they're going to release, right? They'd have already had sales reps, and there's various around the US that would have gone to the retailers, gone to individual Walmarts, taken orders from individual store managers, or whether it's central buying, and it's per state. It depends on the company, Best Buy, Target, and Walmart. So they will already have a forecast in terms of how many to produce. And if they're short, it doesn't really take that much time for them to replenish stocks at retailers. It really doesn't. So
they don't want to be over is the problem.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, obviously, you don't want to undercut your demand. Like day one, you want to be able to get a copy into everybody's hands, and that's where that game comes in. Where it's like, I don't know, do we make 500,000? Do we make $250,000? Because then some people don't get one, might wait and just be like, I'll just wait, and then not get the game for the price.
Let's think of it. As for hype, wouldn't you prefer to have people desperately wanting to buy your game if they see their mate has got a digital copy, a physical copy, and they want it and they can't get hold of it? They're going to be salivating.
Yeah.
So in some cases, they may actually probably go under par just to keep that hype going.
Yeah, I see what Matt's getting at here too. I don't know if you guys in the UK have things like Family Dollar or Dollar General there, but I can walk into a Family Dollar in my hometown and there's like brand new copies of Battlefield 1 for the Xbox sitting in there. There's brand new copies of Titanfall 2, surprisingly, sitting in there for like $9-10 a piece, still sealed in a wrapper. It's like they overproduced or something. So I get what Matt's getting at. Like you have to guess and be on point, or you're going to end up with all these extras that you're going to have to take a hit on later on and sell them at some dollar store. So yeah,
long term, they want physical gone. They want physical gone because it's so much easier just to put it up on a storefront online and boom, that's the only way you can buy games. But you're trying to kill a 40-year-old system of actually having physical. Like when I first started gaming, there was cartridges, discs. So
it seems like I switched over because I can't stand
storing it.
Yeah, it seems like we're all on the same page here about digital, like being the future and everything. I mean, whether we like it or not, did it surprise anybody that the PlayStation 5 digital edition, like my local GameStop had 2 digital editions and I think 8 standard? Like I was thinking it was going to be the opposite. That's the same thing with the Series S and the Series X. So, I mean, did that surprise any of you guys? Or
I think Sony was caught off guard. I don't know if they were ready for the Series S or they weren't ready for the price point. Because it looks like they just ripped out the drive, built another system, and then just like, hey, we'll knock $100 off to try to get closer.
Yeah, I mean,
Sony's in a bad spot with their hardware. They really are because they're Xbox beating them on the top end, and now, I mean, you're going to be able to get all high frame rate stuff and all that just at 1080p, most likely 1080p. It'll say 1440p, but I don't think it matters to that many people. So you're at both ends of the spectrum. A $300 next gen console, like that's insane. It's so insane.
It seems like they focused like all their efforts on the SSD, and I still don't understand that fully. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, I mean, yeah, you can load faster, it makes Ratchet and Clank possible, but we've had some developers say that Ratchet and Clank could have worked on the Xbox Series X with that SSD. So I don't really understand why the effort to go for this super fast SSD that there's not even anything on the market to match it right now. I don't understand that.
One thing that's a long-term strategy. So what they're doing at the moment, and listening to other podcasts and listening to different people, from what I'm guessing, and again, I'm no expert on this, is that this is future-proofing. Whereas potentially Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, this is... It's playing it's playing what they've got right now.
But then, like, let's say 5 years, or I don't want to say 5 years because they probably have another console out by then. But I mean, you say like future proofing with the SSD, but they didn't really future proof with the GPU, you know. So I mean, they're obviously
it's a weird one. Are they? Is it because the GPU again? This is what I keep hearing. It's future proof, and again, it's probably maybe it's just bollocks, or it's just actually saying. I suppose with the SSD, it's an external manufacturer, so therefore they're probably assuming that it's going to get cheaper. With your CPU, again, I'm not 100% sure. That's probably not going to get any better in, say, very quick. Is in a quicker time frame. Again, I may be wrong. Is
Yeah,
that
the
what I'm-
EPUs will take longer to come down in price.
Yeah.
Essentially, what they'll end up doing is they'll the manufacturing process they'll keep working at it to get the efficiencies up. So it's like they build 100 APUs at a time. They're probably throwing away 20% of them now. I think Xbox or PlayStation was rumored to throw away 50%, which would be insane. But they'll just keep tweaking that until they can get that as close to every single one of them coming off the line as usable. And they'll achieve that over time, and then they'll probably shrink it down 3 or 4 years down the road for a slim. Go from 7 nanometer to 5 nanometer, 4 nanometer, whatever they're working on next.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just got some shout outs. Welcome Fugly, welcome Pugsley, and welcome Fastback. And happy birthday to Dragon Wolf. He's leveled up.
Oh,
How far has he leveled up though?
18, I heard, isn't it?
Is it 18? Happy birthday. But no, the thing that, I mean, this is quite a good conversation about digital and physical. The one thing that surprises me, and I can't seem to get an answer out of a lot of people. Now, in reality, a disc, you've got to produce the disc, you've got to pay, you've got to have a warehouse, you've got to print the artwork, you've got to pay for boxes. How is it that it's cheaper to buy the physical than it is the digital? I can't work it out. People keep saying, "Oh, it's convenience," but
it's monopoly.
Yeah,
you can't buy games for Xbox on any other system except Xbox, and then same for PlayStation. Like you can't go to and download.
Yeah, probably.
I guess they do the digital codes and all that stuff, but like, there's only one storefront, so they can charge what they want. They don't have to charge charge less.
True. Another interesting thing I've seen. Apparently, Xbox are actually doing. They've created actual game boxes for the digital versions in their shops, and they actually give you. Apparently, they actually give you this little box to take with you, even though it's just got a code in it.
That's really all I care about. That's why I buy physical. I just want the box on my shelf. Makes me feel like I actually own it, you know?
Yeah. I thought that was a bit crazy. But,
it's something to look at while you're sitting on the toilet. I mean, that's what I use it for. So.
This is where game manual should come back, because that was the one thing I always used to do with a game manual. Sit on the toilet and go through it and read it and enjoy it.
Well, the funny thing now is, especially on next gen, is that it would take, I don't even know how much longer to download data onto your hard drive from a disk than it would the internet. Like, I hope if I bought a disc and popped it in that my Xbox just goes, I'm getting this off the internet, or give me an option to do that because I don't have data caps. Because it would be 10 times faster to download it off the internet than it is for me to download it through a disc.
Not me. I got that 3 megabits a second out here, buddy.
In the UK, our internet isn't good everywhere, but a data cap isn't something, as in your home broadband, it isn't something the British actually know we don't actually, our internet's unlimited. You don't really cap your internet here.
Well, hang on. No, gently. Now, there are options. So effectively, you can have a 10 gigabyte, 20 gigabyte, 30 gigabyte, depending on price. But generally, if you can get unlimited, and it isn't that expensive.
I pay 25 quid a month.
Exactly.
Unlimited.
The biggest problem we have is infrastructure. Yeah. So if you're in the big cities, you have a very good network. If you go about 25 minutes down the road into a village, you'll be lucky if you've got someone trying to deliver the game to you by post digitally. You know, there are widely big discrepancies in the UK. And I mean, VJ and obviously Matt, you'll be able to tell us if that's a similar sort of standard in the US. I'm assuming not.
Oh no, God, yeah, it's a huge problem here. Like I live in Philadelphia. There's 155 million people, I believe, on the eastern seaboard. So from like Washington, D.C. up to like Boston. There's a ton of people here. So the internet on this side is pretty good, especially if you're in the big cities. But if I was to go, I don't even have to go that far, to be honest with you. Half an hour, 45 minutes, my options start to drop off. And then if you go out to like the middle of this country, like Kansas, Illinois, Iowa, like there's a lot of places out there that have absolutely no other options but satellite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down here in North Carolina. I'm 7 miles from town, and I can only get 3 megabits down, and I think like 500 kilobytes up, something like that. So
wow!
Ouch!
I could not do YouTube without my cell phone.
I mean, where I am, we had
is that DSL?
Yes.
Holy crap, man! I haven't had to have DSL in like 20 years.
The thing is, 7 miles that way, I can get freaking fiber. Like, what the heck, man?
So
Can't you guys just come out this way?
the funny thing is in the UK now this is the thing. We have fibre. Everyone can have fibre, yeah, but it ain't fibre. Like I live in a town where I used to have 70 down and like 10-ish up, right? I moved to the other side of town. I've still got fibre. We're talking more like it's 35 up, 5 to 10 down, but it fluctuates. But what their definition of fibre is though by BT, because they won a big BT government contract, roll it out to everyone. It means fibre cable is in the box, and it's copper cable the whole way.
So you got fake fiber.
Yes. Unless you're Mr. Tucci with Virgin Media, who's got like 500 down or something.
680.
Oh, wow. It's made the wound worse.
That's
Look,
the dream.
I have fiber, and basically, I have Verizon, and basically what they do is they have a box installed in my basement, and the fiber goes to that box, and then from there they turn it over to the 75 coaxial cable that everybody's used to, and then you can use it through your cable outlets and everything like that. But yeah, it's fiber from my basement out into the world. My latency on some games is so ridiculously fast. Like Battlefield 5 is like 6 milliseconds to the server.
Wow.
Like most people in there are
really
like 30 to
envious of you.
40 for best, and like I'm destroying them. And then there's the people in the hundreds. But
That's me.
it's okay to have fiber, so I'm lucky that way. But dude, most of Americans aren't like that. I don't even know if fiber's available in every major city, to be honest with you.
I done a test earlier this year, and I downloaded 67 games in 20 hours.
Oh, wow.
To download one game, it takes me 2 days to download one game. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So you're just rubbing it in now.
I downloaded the Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Recently, probably like 3 weeks ago, I downloaded it in like 28 minutes.
That really is rubbing it in.
Like it was ridiculously fast.
So what you're saying,
Most games,
Matt,
I
is
downloaded
we should
Crackdown
really
on
just. So what you're saying, Matt, is we should really just try after this all settles, is just basically nip to your place.
Yeah.
I just want to address Pugsley in the chat. He said that BT are starting to roll out fibre to properly rather than fibre to the cabinet. He's on about the BT are rolling that out. It's called BT Premises Fibre, and it's been put in a lot of new housing estates. It's basically you can have up to a terabyte down and a terabyte up. It's serious stuff. But that's where it literally is fibre end to end. And they have them. You have a box on the outside of your house, and you have a box on the inside of the house with all flashing lights. It looks very good. But I don't think I'll be seeing it for a very, very long time. But that's good to hear, Foxy, if they are. But it's going to take them a long time because BT are tight asses. But
Well, here's an option that people don't really think of. But like, I have the camper. I think most people know that who follow me on Twitter because I post pictures occasionally.
Yeah.
I'm right next to a 4G tower for T-Mobile, and they just in March they launched a test program to basically it's home internet through cell service. Yep. So with the 4G box, I'm pulling like 75, 80 megabits down, something like 50, 55 up.
And the latency's not bad either, is it? It's about I think it's about 15 or 20, but I've spotted that, and I have said it to a few of my other friends. The 4G boxes are amazing compared to in some cases your standard internet.
Yeah, I'm doing the same right now over a hotspot.
And then the other thing is too is like 5G is pretty much exploding, at least in the Northeast up here, and it's starting to spread throughout the country. But once that has decent coverage, they're going to change the 4G boxes over to 5G cable boxes. Mm-hmm. You probably have an antenna on the outside of your house that'll have to go in to the box, and that'll be it. And then you should be able to get, I would think, a couple hundred megabits per second just through cell service. And this is all coming to most of the world within the next 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. So like the internet scene is going to change. I mean, like I'm expecting my fiber internet to go from 1 gigabit to 2 gigabit sometime within the next year. That option will come up because there's internet coming on all different. Like you have Starlink coming, which is it basically satellite internet, but it's different than old satellite internet, so it'll be quicker and the latency won't be so bad. And that's going to be mainstream in 5 years. So if you live in the middle of nowhere, you may have access to internet. So I think the internet problem for most of the world will be going away within the next handful of years. So like most of the stuff we worry about now won't be here.
And this is where it's going to feed into. And this is where it's going to feed into. And it's one of the things that I kind of pushing a little bit with the way I kind of do things is everything is going to be digital. Everything is going to be Wi-Fi or internet. So all your devices are going to be 10 times better. So, things are going to be, it's going to get to the point where it will be just a box, either directly streamed to your TV or just a small box, which you then download your games on. Because it's going to get to that point, regardless, or even just your mobile. Plug your mobile into your TV, bam.
I fear that day. I like the box. I do.
But while we're on the subject of the internet, my cousin Lee, he bought an Xbox One at launch with me, and he had the FIFA 14 bundle. And when he finally got the Xbox on after the update, because his internet, he had half a meg connection.
Oh, goodness.
And when he had to install FIFA as the download code, it took him, I think it was just over 7 days.
I would have got in my car and come round your house and done it if I was him. It would have been quicker.
It took him about 7 days it was to download the game.
Goodness.
But you think about it, you see where we have been, you see how the speed of change is happening. It is doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling. I mean, it wasn't short a while ago. We was on dial-up.
Yeah, you got to think about
we are in some cases rushing headfirst into a fully digital age, and I suspect 5 or 10 years down from now, it'll be a very different landscape. Very different.
Right.
Well, I'm trying to think back to 2013. I think my internet, the most I could get back then was maybe 150 megabits. If not, maybe 300 was the absolute most. There wasn't a 1 gigabyte option back then. I think it may have been lower than that, actually. It may have been 150, but
things are getting better, though, aren't they? They are. I mean,
you just don't notice it because now the speeds are so quick. Well, at least for me, like anytime I ever notice a difference in my speed is downloading huge files. Outside of that, my internet's quick for everything else. 99% of what I do.
I have exaggerated earlier. BT premises is like 500 gig down or a terabyte down, and it's only about 100 up. But I've also exaggerated with the upload rate, but 100 up's good enough for anyone. You know what I mean? But I wish it would come to my area next.
Well, stop. Think of it this way: when you're trying to upload a video that you make, if you had 1 gigabit up, the video would be uploaded in no time. Well, it'd probably be limited by YouTube servers, but
yeah, definitely. But it will get there eventually. I'm just hoping my area gets it. I think it's random in what the places are doing it because they've physically got to dig the roads up in order to do it. To put the cable down.
It's actually at least in the UK, it's council budget.
Verizon was spending something like $10,000 a mile, I think, to install it. Because they hit so much crap underground when they were trying to run the wire that they had to replace it. It's like 10 grand a mile.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. It is.
Well, if that's the
absolutely
case,
horrendous.
we will never be seeing it if the council are paying for it.
No, unfortunately, that there is a requirement they have to hit. Now, admittedly, they're failing, at least in the UK, to hit that requirement, but they still have to maintain it. Otherwise, they are fined heavily. So it is in their interest to try and make it happen. The biggest problem, as Matt is quite rightly saying, is there are so many other things within the ground, drainage, other telecoms, communications. In fact, the biggest problems isn't actually in the rural areas because there's limited, the ground's kind of just empty. It's actually the cities. The cities are the biggest problem. You're basically, when you dig into a city, it's like a spider's web of different cables.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, definitely.
Our government's so corrupt, they all want to cut. Like a lot of these towns, like it depends on the state. Every state's different. It's kind of hard for you guys to understand it. Like every state in the United States is kind of like its own country almost, because some laws are very different in different states. But yeah, I forget where I was going with that.
It's a nightmare, I think, wherever you are. If you're in a big city.
Oh,
it's gonna be
sorry,
a nightmare.
I've just cut the wrong lead. The power. Oh, half of London's just gone out.
Well, actually, you say that, you laugh, but it actually has happened. Where we was in a
I believe that.
it happened about 2 years ago, where someone, and it was just one guy, put his spade, and he did, because they've got survey data of where these so-called pipes are, and then they've obviously got 3D scanners trying to look for it as well. And somehow they missed it, or the actual density didn't show there was a pipe there. He put a spade right through a communications network that was linked directly to the government. Let's just say shit went sideways.
But did the intelligence services turn up? What the f are you doing?
They locked that sector down.
Probably called it some kind of attack.
Well, that was one of the first thoughts they had, but it actually just turned out it's one guy with a shovel. He just accidentally just put it in the wrong spot.
Crazy.
Yeah, we had one of our whole cities here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina about it. I think it was last summer. Someone cut the line. The whole city lost power because there was only one line going into that city. So the whole city lost power for 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure that guy got fired.
Welcome, Steel Rain, and welcome. Where were we? Oh, I messed it up now. Wait. Black Card 2020. I think I've said it right. Probably haven't. But welcome, thanks for stopping by. But where I am, I've got 4G. Yeah, it's not 4G. It's like 5 or 10 megabytes.
It's 3G plus. But
the 3G on the others used to be really good, but now I'm using 4G. The 4G seems worse than the 3G. Maybe it's decided the town and where I'm at. You know?
Well, you got to remember too that like 3G was how the internet worked back then. It would like there was nowhere near as many pictures and startup videos and all that stuff. So like there's more information coming through to your phone today than there was with 3G. And wait till you see what they did with 5G. 5G is going to be insane because they literally want to have everything connected to the internet, including cars.
Right, I'm going to switch topics. It was a nice chat about internet. I'm going to throw another quick. It really is interesting, though. Right, do any of you not have, you know, when the Xbox Series S launches and it's X, we all know that some big game, or we guess, some big game is going to be put into Game Pass for launch. Do any of you not have any ideas? VJ, you haven't spoken in a while. Do you have any ideas of what a potential big or few games could be dropped into Game Pass for the launch?
VJ?
He's asleep.
Who wants to go? Anyone have any ideas? We could be wrong. It's just a guess, you see.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I really don't have a clue, but if I had to guess, I was going to say Cyberpunk. I mean, Microsoft's already got a marketing relationship with those guys. I wouldn't put it past old Phil to show up at the CD Projekt Red with a big chunk of cash and just be like, hey, man, let us get Cyberpunk for 2 months, and it'll be in Game Pass day one. So if I had to guess, that's what I would go with.
No, it's a good pick. Have you got any ideas, Mr. Tucci?
Yeah, the one I've always thought, because there was a rumor going back a while ago that there's one going in Game Pass, but is it a couple of months after the Series X launch? It was going about half a year ago.
Are you on the one when Phil Spencer announced it and then it didn't happen?
No, that was Control, wasn't it?
Control, weren't it? Yeah.
But I think it's going to be something like I think there's something good going on with Cyberpunk. I think that's going to go in there, even though I pre-ordered it today.
You pre-ordered it, have you?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it today already.
Well, you're a bit of a show if you pre-order your Series X, now you pre-order Cyberpunk. Still not got my Series X pre-order. They need to put another wave. It's worrying me how they're not done another wave yet. Or maybe it'll be at launch, but you know.
Well, I don't know if you guys listened to RDX last night with Dealer and those guys, but I think Aaron Greenberg was saying that most likely these retailers have an extra Series X.
He had Aaron on.
Yeah.
Did you know
Yeah, he had Aaron on, and he was saying that they have allocated extra, I guess, Series X, Series S to these guys, but it's up to the retailers to either take pre-orders for those or to just sell them outright on day one. So,
okay.
Most likely, you could possibly go to your local store on launch, and you might have 2 or 3 Series X sitting there to sell outright. So,
I have to see. I keep an eye on Amazon, but just keep saying unavailable.
Yeah, all I see on Amazon is dogs. I just get the dog picture, so I just gave up on that.
I've not seen that. But is that if you go on the website, or does it come up on the phone too?
It comes up on the phone, I know, for the app.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, that whole day when the pre-orders went live, I was seeing Labradors and Chihuahuas and everything else. So it just wasn't working.
Do you know all I seen that day? I just seen Stubbs on Twitter getting fucking stressed out,
raging.
Yeah, then I make a video about Xbox All Access failed, and I got a stick. But I wasn't wrong. Technically, it did. No.
Well, that was the kind of thing that actually I do feel so sorry for those families who are desperate. You know, that's kids' Christmas presents. You know,
I know. Exactly.
That's kids. That's poor families who could have easily got on to the next generation, and that is probably one of the biggest travesties of Xbox at this current moment. Is that the all access screwed up, and I think it's really going to hit the poorest people, because that was one of the best things I heard when we saw all access. It was like, this doesn't discriminate. Then it doesn't discriminate regardless of how poor you are, because you could get a brand new system, next generation system, on a monthly, almost like a phone.
I wish they had advertised it that way, because it's more like a loan.
Mobile phone contracts. Yeah.
No.
Small.
Yeah, but they advertise it that way. But the way it's done, it's like a bank. It's kind of like a credit loan, not a mobile check. It's a bit different.
Yeah, you see, and that's why I think it really hit the most poorest of people, because that's why I was like, so many people, so many young mums, single mums, so many poor families are going to be able to move on to the next generation. And then when that died, or when that had, well, at least in the UK, when that had a major problem, I mean, I suspect I think you guys had a similar sort of thing in the US. It was
all access.
I just felt heartbreaking for the kids who ain't going to get it, and they really need to sort it out.
I don't think Xbox was prepared for the demand that they're seeing right now. I really don't. I mean, I think they thought they were making all the right moves, but I don't think they expected people to react the way they have. So
yeah, but I think with respect, it's not about the demand; it's about the execution of the initiative that's extremely poor, and the financial that they've brought in to actually deliver what they promised is I don't know, it's beyond words really, and they do need to fix it. And Stubbs, you did a video on it, right, explaining in detail the cause and effect, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I know Indie Gamer saying it's all alone if you pay monthly, and that is true. But the credit checks when you get a mobile phone are very fast and fluid. It doesn't come up like in my opinion, it doesn't come up like a loan you borrow money with. It's a
soft search.
It never has for me with mobile phones. But that's the way they advertised it. But it's more like you borrow money, But they're fixing the problems now. The credit companies are that they caused on people's accounts. But I really think, I know it's not fair. They should have actually pre-approved people for that, and then made people say, basically, you can be pre-approved, but you're not guaranteed. If you happen to get on the website at the right time, you can have one. So people knew there and then, or beforehand, if they were going to be able to have a chance of getting one. And a lot of people, it was like failed. And some of the people, like Flap, which has a good credit rating, he checked on Xperia, had a top credit rating, and it was declined. And apparently it was due to the fact that some of the credit companies realised that they ran out of consoles, and there was a bit of a miscommunication between the retailer and the credit company. It was just a bit of a mess. But I do think pre-order, the All Access program is a great idea, but not for pre-orders, for when it's on general sale and stocks replenish, and because it's going to be too hard for people to get one. That's the problem. It's not something you should offer for pre-order. It's just too difficult. Or they should have better systems in place.
Well, look what happened. The way that the pre-orders went, like, most places were out of stock within 2 minutes or something, and then everyone's there trying to fill in a credit report, trying to get finance on this thing, and they were gone before you finished it.
Oh no, exactly.
But it's right what you said.
I think it was removable sanity that said it, that Xbox wasn't prepared for what actually happened, and it's, if you really think about it, why, like, I think they would have sold out their first day allotment without the Bethesda announcement. But they announced Bethesda the night before, and I actually sat there and said, they're good. Like, I'm going to now have a much harder time getting an SSX tomorrow, and I might not get one because they just dropped a bomb. And I think it's the same thing with, like you're saying. Like, I agree, they should not have done the monthly payment system at launch unless you were expecting to have enough systems left over.
Well, most definitely, you're right. Or that, like I say, I think they should have done the system where you could go ahead a day or two before and check whether your credit, whether they were going to give you one, and then say, right, this is the time it's going live. So you know if you've got a chance of getting one, and if you don't get one, that's fine. But they should pre-approve you beforehand, and then say, come online at this time, and you could have a chance of getting one. Do you know what I mean? Because we're doing credit checks while it's live, so it's decreasing the chances. I don't know if I'm talking crazy or whether that's a good idea, but they should just say, yes, you've been approved, no, you've been declined, but say, if you've been approved, it goes live tomorrow at 8 a.m., but be on the site ready. And then if you get one, if you get one, you do. If you don't, you missed out, you know. I think that would have been a bit fairer. Does anyone agree with me?
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's basically you put in those who needed a credit check in the same boat as the general population who are going to buy it outright.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I agree. I think they should. And I think, as Matt was saying, you know, it's the bombshell. If you're hearing people who are diehard PlayStation fans now switching, I think the bombshell that did knock a lot of people for six. That was like, whoa, really? And as you rightly said, I think people just went, well, in that case, then I'm going to buy an Xbox. And again, maybe Xbox didn't really appreciate the interest. I mean, supposedly from them, in their mind, why would they? Yes,
well, we don't know what they sold this gen. We don't know how hard it is for them to sell consoles now. So maybe the demand's like just a magnitude higher than they were just like, holy crap, it's above our best estimates is what we thought we would get.
Exactly. Yeah. I think to be honest with you, it really has shown that even in 2020, pre-orders probably doesn't really work. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree.
Like, I would be fine if they just let us sign up. Like, say, like, I went on and I couldn't get one for launch day. If they would let me complete the process and then they say, hey, we'll probably get one to you in the next month or two, I'd be fine. As long as I know as I have one locked in at some point. I think for a lot of people, especially if you're trying to buy one for like the holidays, if you know you're going to get it before December, I don't know. I would have signed up and did it, but they just, as soon as they hit their allotment, they cut it off. You can't sit there and you can't get on a list to sit there and wait for one. So now I'm going to be playing the game of trying to run around stores, calling around, trying to figure out where the hell I'm going to get an SXX for launch. But at least I have the S.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of shops as well email people out, and people get calls saying, sorry, we made a mistake, we didn't get as many allocations, but some stores just kept taking them. I don't know if anyone's been affected. I've been reading stuff about people paying for the consoles or whatever, and then being told, oh, actually, we went overboard with the allocations, sorry, you won't be getting one, you know. Which I think you're right, Matt. You should be placed on some kind of list to say when they get more allocations, because you've already paid, you should be automatically be knocked off the list and added to yes, you're getting one.
Well, didn't VJ say about it was like almost like a ticket system?
Like Argus.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I think BJ said it before, where like they should have sent out emails to people that they know actually own current consoles, and then say, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And then you could basically get a lottery ticket to try to get one.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
you
you're
would
in
try to
batch
keep out all the
300 or
other
something.
people. You try to keep out all the scalpers and stuff that are just strictly in it to make a quick buck. So if you could send it to people, you would cut down on it because I'm sure there would be people who would get one and then sell it. But I don't know. It's tough, man.
I must admit, I did hear. I suppose in a way it did frustrate me. I did see people going, "Yes, I've got the Xbox Series X, and I've also got the Xbox Series S, and I've also bought another one." It's like, dude, that just means two other people.
You know that big YouTuber Keemster?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean John Alert guy.
Yes, I think he bought 6 of each or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Do you see that annoys me? That you've just let 12 of the families not get one.
No.
Luckily, like in my area, I don't know how it is where you guys are, or even with you, Matt, in Philadelphia, but we're in North Carolina for the most part. We're pretty much back to normal after COVID. So I actually got both my pre-orders done at a GameStop store in person. Wow. And I always try to do that anyways, because I'm always worried about bots and, scalpers and stuff like that. And, when you go to the store, they've got such and such allocated 8 consoles. If you get there, you're first in line, you're going to get one. And I mean, I think in store in person is always the best, but obviously we're in kind of a weird time in the world right now. So,
well, you say that, wasn't there a lot of people saying, I don't know if it was GameStop, that the actual staff was taking a lot of the allotment? So they had 8, and then all of a sudden they were saying, "Oh, actually, you've only got 1."
Oh, that absolutely happened. I would have did it if I worked there.
I used to work at GameStop, and I have some buddies that work there now, and they people say that, but it's like, and I know like those guys are working. They want to pre-order a console too a lot of times. So like if they have the assistant manager there, they'll run around the other side of the counter, pre-order. When the assistant manager rings them up. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if somebody might have taken it that way and and spread it all over Twitter, but I mean, they want their consoles just like we do most of the time. And I mean, I at least know at my local GameStop that none of those guys were like just scooping up 3 and 4 pre-orders to sell them on eBay. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past some people, but
yeah, I think it was probably isolated. It probably wasn't many cases of it, but the way social media is, it's been blown up to make out it's every game.
It just takes one time, and someone's got evidence of it.
Yeah,
and there you go. It's
then you're a villain on Twitter.
It's across it, exactly.
But like, who are these people paying 2, 3, 4 times the amount of what the console is actually worth?
Yeah, but has someone actually paid? I know they're on eBay and all that. Has anyone actually bought any of them?
I would guess it's probably the same people paying $100 for a roll of toilet paper when toilet paper was out of stock.
Do you know what my local shop did when that was on? They actually put it on, like toilet roll, etc., all the essentials. And what he did was he knew who the local customers were. So when they come in, and he'd just say, "No, mate, if you weren't a local, you see that you've come from the other side of town. You ain't got any, mate." But you see, if you seen you were local, we don't get you out the back.
Oh man,
fair play,
That's dirty. That's dirty.
Yeah.
Well, what was happening was that people were going around to different towns and buying up other stock. So,
but what they were doing also was going to one shop get toilet paper, then they were going to the next shop and they were buying like 5, 6, 7, 8 packs of toilet paper.
Oh yeah. They were doing it here too.
It's crazy.
They didn't want to have that dirty bum.
I've got to confess, when it all went crazy and we couldn't get none anywhere, I went to the services on the M1 in my truck on my break, and I was in there, and the whole shelf was full of bug rolls. So I emptied the whole shop that day.
Boot him.
That's it.
Hey, I was getting low, and I'm not using the grass in the garden. No chance.
You see, I have a family, so I go in and literally once a month I buy bulk anyway. It's just cheaper for me. Yeah. So I literally just go in, buy in bulk. So it's like, yeah, okay, I'm sorted for about, I I just keep loads of stuff just there anyway, because I know the family goes through it like a bloody rate of knots. So I was like, okay, I'm okay a little bit. And again, about 2 or 3 weeks later, it was all back to normal. It was just
because
times.
I watched a program on it, and the top bloke in the UK, he actually said there's not a toilet roll problem. He said that we can't get the toilet roll into the shop fast enough. Because they said now they've actually got toilet paper stockpiled for about 3 or 4 years, and they said that even if a lockdown happens again, there's going to be no problem. It's just that our lorries can't get to the shops fast enough. That's all.
That's because bloody Tushy is nipping to the services and buying a whole load of them.
I mean, his name is Mr. Tushy. He's got a clean one at least.
There's a hint.
Definitely.
Oh, it's spotless, I tell you.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this is why I love doing this podcast, because we're not we're a gaming podcast, but we go off the rails, we talk about all sorts. It's quite a good laugh, and people seem to be liking it. Although we don't always talk about gaming, we go off the rails a bit, and now we're talking about toilet paper.
Tushy's bum.
Yeah, you know.
There's a toilet paper factory like literally 10 miles from here. So if it ever got that bad, I know where to go.
So if we receive a report of the police and there's just your face and there's like loads of toilet paper around you, he broke in. He took over 3 pallets.
I'll be stealing trucks of toilet paper and selling them on the side of the road.
Someone did that, didn't they? When they did, I thought I saw someone in America. They were scouts. So there was people doing that where they drive up and they pull out like I don't know whether it's probably just a prank or something.
No, he bought 19 grams of sanitizer, and the police, something like that. The police made it so he couldn't actually set it on. They'd done something to all his stock, so he couldn't scalp it.
They confiscated, didn't they?
Yeah, they took it from him.
Yeah, he took it from him. Something like
I think he ended up donating it away or something like that.
Yeah, because he went down to town. He went town to town and bought it all up. He did. But anyway, it's been a good show tonight. It has. I'd like to thank you all for coming out. Would you like to tell everyone where they can find you, God's Geeks?
Yeah, you can find me at God's Geeks YT on Twitter and God's Geeks on YouTube. So I got a video coming out very soon.
Cool. Thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you guys inviting me and having me on.
I'll definitely have you on in the future, most definitely.
Oh yes.
I just want to point out to Mav from Fun Speculation, I did not start talking like these guys. I might do it tonight when my wife comes in. I'm going to talk to my wife like this.
Yeah.
Jolly good show.
Hello, chap here.
You want some tea, honey?
Yeah.
Aluminium, my favorite. It's aluminum. You say aluminium.
Aluminium.
Yes,
Yeah, aluminium.
That's one thing I spoke to Matt. In one of the Stubbscasts, he was in the chat saying, "Can you say aluminium?" I went, "Why? Just say it." I love the way you guys say it.
We actually spell it different. A lot of people don't realize that, but we spell it different. You guys spell
aluminum and aluminium.
Pronounce it. It's aluminum here.
Can I hear a funny one? Right, here's another one. Say, for example, if I went over the pond, right, and me and Matt were just going to go to go to a nightclub or something, and he told me that the dress code is green pants. Like, out of us two, who do you think wouldn't be getting in that nightclub?
You?
Are you colorblind?
No, because that's what I mean. It's like you'd end up going in green jeans. I'll be going in green underpants.
Yeah, pants for us is like
underpants.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So I'm probably one of the few Americans you'll have on the show that spent almost 6 months in England. So I'm familiar with much of this slang.
You can tell the difference between crisps and chips.
Oh yeah, that's an easy one. When I was 15 years old the first time I heard somebody go, "I'm gonna go smoke a fag," and I'm like, "What?" they're like, "No, it's a cigarette," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, that's a totally different word back in the United States."
Especially in the South.
Really not a good word to say at all.
No.
Definitely.
I think that would be looked upon and frowned upon even now.
Thanks for coming on, Matt. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
I'm basically just on Twitter at Matt Burns1. You'll see me pop up from time to time on some of these shows because I enjoy them, and I really appreciate it. Stubbs having me on. It's kind of funny because I've been watching your show for a really long time, and you used to be like 5 people watching, and now I'm on the show, so this is actually pretty cool, man. I really appreciate it.
We need your barbecue techniques. I keep saying this.
Definitely. Thanks for coming on Removal Sanity. Where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter, YouTube, and minds.com under Removal Sanity, and on Xbox as well. So if you want to listen to me jabber, I'm on here, and if you don't, good luck.
Fair enough. Thanks for coming on anyway. It's been a pleasure, as.
Thank you.
VJ, thanks for coming on. I'm sorry we didn't make it to topics, but we went off topic a bit, and I'm trying to keep it to 2 hours. But I know the Pacific topic you're on about. We will definitely get to it first thing next week. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Oh yeah, they can find me on your show every Wednesday around this time.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I just wanted to say thanks to Matt coming on the show. I've been chatting with him on and off on Twitter. So it's a really nice pleasure to meet you. And God's Geek, how can I find you on Twitter, God's Geek? Because I just tried to find you, but I wasn't able to locate you.
It's spelled just like my name right here, God's Geeks YT. So
okay.
Just look up chocolate milk and you'll see him.
Yeah. Grown man drinks chocolate milk.
Dude, chocolate milk is awesome, man.
It really is.
I personally drink about 3 gallons of milk a week. Now, most of that goes into tea, but
well, if I did that, I would never have a solid poop. So,
Tea. Now, what tea are we talking about? Because VJ is very interested here.
Oh dear, I'm good.
English breakfast tea. I like English breakfast tea, and I like Irish breakfast tea. I like them because they usually have a little bit more caffeine in them.
Fair enough. VJ likes PG tips.
Yeah, I like PG tips. It's expensive.
And some fucks.
It's really expensive out here. All the British fare, Heinz baked beans. You can only find them in specific stores. HP sauce, digestives. It's just really expensive over here.
VJ, do Amazon. You can get a lot of the stuff off Amazon. Some of it's expensive because it actually does ship from the UK, but there is companies in the United States that import the stuff so you can get it fairly cheap. Because I actually get digestives regularly. I just got to order like 3 of them the other day. But if I want the dark chocolate ones, I have to order them from England, and they take like 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness! No, it's I'll tell you what it is, Matt. I found like HP sauce. But coming from England, it's really weird. Like everybody it's like only available in stacks of 6, and I feel, well, I've got to buy 6 bottles. That's going to last me about a year. It's like,
it lasts me a week.
I'm getting
like I like Rosie's lime cordial, which a lot of Americans don't even have a clue. Like we have Rosie's here, and we have a lime juice, but it's different than the English one. So I get that imported, and it's basically so you can make what's the beer where they put that in? I can't. A shandy. Yes. It's basically how you make shandy is with the lime juice cordial. So like,
really,
if it's really hot here, like I'll put probably 10% into a beer, and it makes it more refreshing. I don't know. It's hard. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's good in Corona, obviously, because that's one with lime. But I like it in everything. Like even like American.
How do you make a shandy then?
It really depends how much the lime cordial. Like when I first went to England, I was 15, or one of the times I went to England, I was 15, and I was allowed to drink in pubs there. And what it'd be 50% lime juice and then 50% beer.
So you've got the wrong end of the stick, because in the UK, shandy is half lager and half lemonade.
Yes, yeah, that's what this lime cordial stuff is. It's
sorry, I think what we call lime cordial here is how you have like blackcurrant juice. It's like lime juice here. That's what we call lime cordial.
Yeah, it's not. I think the stuff you guys use is more of a soda. It's CO2 in it.
Yeah.
This stuff doesn't have the CO2 in it, but it's an easy way to make a shandy here. But now that their beer's growing crazily, you can get shandy made from breweries here. There's a couple local that make good shandy.
Oh.
I love beer.
I don't know what UK Dazarus is going on about, Stubbs.
Lime is toilet cleaner. Well, yeah, it is popular flavour of toilet cleaner, lime.
I used to keep away scurvy. Is that what they used to take it for? Why you guys are all called limeys? Because you used to get on your ships and go sail the world and conquer everything, and always had limes on board for scurvy. I think it was.
Yep.
Limeys Australians, I thought. Am I wrong?
No.
I
think limey. No, I think it was limeys was the English. Yeah. It was
okay. No, that's fair enough. No, okay. Yeah. So, Mr. Tucci, thanks for coming on. And where can they find you? And also, what is your YouTube channel called?
When are you posting content? That's what I want to know.
Come on, people eat this up. You and your Laurie giving out tips and talking about life. People will love it.
No, people don't hear about my life.
It was like all six of us are just in a room having a normal conversation. Like, it's gaming focused, but we talk about a bunch of stuff, and it's fun. It's more natural. It's just more real life instead of just being laser focused on like a kind of a news show.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think it's more enjoyable. That's why I like Game Beyond the Box so much. It's just a bunch of people hanging out, talking games.
I gotta tell you,
soon.
I think I would subscribe to you if you just fought with your parents to the death. You know, I think that would be fun to watch.
No, because I'll wake up, they'll be lying on my pillow watching me in my sleep or something. No. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Xbox, and PlayStation as Mr. Tushy. Same as YouTube, but I don't post nothing on there.
And promote your gaming night.
Oh yeah, I have a community game night every Saturday at 9:00 UK time. We play games mainly in Game Pass. We do about 4 or 5 hours of just having a great time. Also, it's followed by Noof Nukem at 1:00 in the morning, where he carries on and goes till like 5 in the morning or something. So it's like 10 hours of gaming for people from the community if you want to jump in. Have a good time. Everyone's welcome. Any skills?
Yeah, no,
it's good.
It's good laugh. Thing. I will turn up in soon. I will. Stubbs sometimes comes, sometimes he doesn't.
We're not talking about sex life.
Oh, yeah, I should have said that because Daz is in the chat, isn't he?
So that's what Mrs. says anyway.
No. Anyway, it's been fun, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks, UK Dazarus, Indie Gamer, War Stew, Dragon Wolf, Crazy Greek Dude, Matt. No, I do that a lot. Matt Barnes in chat as well. Sean too.
I am in the chat too.
She's no elite. Still Rain, Warwick, and everyone else. I really appreciate you all coming in. Thank you, and I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.
It's nice.